Okay, hi, welcome back to the second session. This one time we're going to start to look at how do we record details that you find on the web. How do we record a web page? Okay, so in this case we're going to look at, we've looked at our Interact site and we've got a link to a web page here, CSU's information and communication technology security policy. Now I've opened it up already here and we can see that this is what it is. It's the policy, it's from CSU, so we can grab that name, put it into our notepad. So there it is. We've got that straight away. Now we start looking for other information. We've got all our things here. Let's go down to the bottom. Guidelines. We're down the bottom of the page. There's no date. So if we haven't got a date, let's put that in there. And it's just a matter of go ND for no date. We do need the URL, so we come back up the top, get the URL and put that in here, and there we have it. So we've got the basic information. We don't have a real lot of information around this one. So let's bring back where have you gone? Let's bring back EndNote. And what we'll do is we'll just open this up a little bit more. Let's do a new note. When it eventually opens, we're saying that it's going to be a web page. The author, we don't have an author. There was no indication of author there, so the author is the name of the organisation, Charles Sturt University. Comma, full stop. Right? Once you put the comma there, that says that's the surname, Charles Sturt University, and the full stop is the end of the name for that particular author. The year, we don't have a year, N dot D dot, no date. Title, we go back to our notepad, we can copy that, put that in. Access date. Well, normally with a web page, it's sometimes very helpful to know exactly when you accessed it, so that you've got an idea of how current it's likely to be. So today, for example, it's the 18th of August 2020. So I'll just put that in, and then I'll scroll down to the URL and pick up the URL from here. Put that in and save it. And so now it's done. Charles Sturt University. We can preview it. That's what it looks like. So we see Charles Sturt University, no date, the policy retrieved from, and it gives you the information. So that's the basic format. Now, sometimes though, you're going to want to do something different. Now, for example, in one of the other sections of this particular subject, we have to look for a couple of things, and one of the things we want to look at is the Australian privacy principles. So when we go to there, we see that we've got a page here. It's from the Office of the Australian Information Commissioner, Australian privacy principles. We scroll down the bottom and we see yes, we have some contact details, no dates though. Okay, so still no dates. That's okay. So now let's start to capture our information. We see that when we try to copy this, it's not going to copy because it's actually it's an image. So we're going to have to write that bit in. We can copy the Australian privacy principles though. But quite often what I do before I start to do this, I'll have a look at the page, and I see here the page doesn't give me a huge amount of information around it. It talks about there being 13 privacy principles, and then when I come down here, it gives me a number of options. I can read the legal copy for each principle. I can get a quick reference, or I can get guidelines. What I'm particularly after more than anything is a reference. So let's go click on the reference, and now we have a privacy principles quick reference, and there they all are with some details about how it all works. So for what I'm looking for, this is probably what I want. So I'm going to capture that bit. I go in here, Control A and Control V, that overwrites everything. I need the URL, of course, and put that in as well. I don't have a date. We've had a look for that, and we've found we don't have a date. And this is actually quite often the case with web pages. There aren't actually dates there. We'll see how this works in a minute. So now we've got that in there. We can bring back our EndNote again. Again, we do Control N. We bring up a new entry. When it eventually is happy, we change the journal article back to web page. The author this time is the Australian, what was it? The Australian, let's go back again, Office of the Australian Information Commissioner. So I didn't get it quite right, so we go back in here and go Australian Oh dear, the thumbs are really quite thumbs today. We don't have a date. We do have a title, so back to here, to Notepad. We have a place published. We saw in the bottom of the page that the place published actually is Sydney. So we can go back to EndNote then and say, okay, the place published is Sydney. And I forgot to put a comma full stop there. The author is actually the Office of the Australian Information Commissioner, so we can copy that, or the publisher, sorry, and put that in. The access date, again today, 18th of the 8th, 20. And our URL from Notepad is that, and we can save it. So once we close that one, then we can see we now have the preview down here showing there it is. It's all in place. However, sometimes we can get a little bit more information. It depends on the site. So one of the other sites we want to look at is the New South Wales government site around classification and labelling. And I've loaded that up already. So we see here it's put out by digital.new South Wales, information classification and handling guidelines. So we can copy that back to Notepad. It's digital.nsw is the well, actually, sorry, lowercase it should be. Digital.nsw is the author. If we look down here, it's last updated in June 2020, so now we have a date. So you can put June 2020 if you like, but at least have the 2020 there. It is copyright, State of New South Wales, Customer Service New South Wales is the agency that's put it out. So that's the one that we want. So the author is, is Customer Services New South Wales, and the publisher is Digital New South Wales. So now we have the information we need. So back to EndNote, Control N. It's a little slow. Come on, guys. Back to the web page. And now we start. We said the author is Customer Service New South Wales. Put that in, comma, full stop. The year is 2020. The title is this. The publisher is, oops, didn't get it all, this. The access date is today. Oops. And the URL, which I forgot to get, is this one. Right, so we can save that. And then when we close this one, we see that it now shows our preview as Customer Service New South Wales 2020, the title and where it's retrieved from. So that's how it works, guys. It's fairly straightforward, but remember with web pages, you're probably going to have to sometimes scroll up and down the page to find exactly what you're looking for. But it's definitely worth the effort. See you again soon.